Hello, Mr. Carden.
Who?
Mr. Carden.
Not Mr. Carden.
This is the interview for Mr. Carden.
Oh.
This is my dad,
Hello, Mr. Carden.
Ernest Lettieri. Okay. So, you grew up in a family of just sisters, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so what was it like being the only boy in your family?
It was quite charming. I was given more leeway than anyone else. I was also the last of the Lettieris. My father's sisters did not marry. He had 3 sisters. The 2 of them did not marry. The third did not have any children. His brothers married but did not have any children. So I was the last. And I got quite the royal treatment. It was lovely.
Do you think you got more royal treatment from your dad, or do you think it was from both?
It was from both. My father wasn't home all that much. He had his own business, so he left, the child rearing to my mother, which was customary in the day.
Okay. Who were all your siblings?
My sisters?
Yeah, who were your sisters?
My Joan, Florence, and Benvinda, whose birthday is today. She is 65, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. What sibling do you think you were the closest to?
Probably my youngest sister. She
Which was?
That was Joan.
Okay.
Florence was was a little older than me, and Benvinda was the oldest. But Joan was less than a year younger than me. So,
Wow.
Yeah, we grew up together. And
do you think that's why you were the closest? Because you guys...
Yeah, definitely.
Age?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever, do anything together that you didn't do with, Aunt Ben?
Well, yeah, certainly, because, as we got a little older, Benvinda went off to college, and Florence was working, so Joan and I were at home. But before that, my mother had to take care of both of us because she had 2 children who were either, not in school yet or in, kindergarten, 1st grade,
Okay. And what were your sisters like?
They were like sisters. Yes, mostly annoying, but sometimes okay.
Okay. Okay. What was your earliest family memory, do you remember?
Family memory?
Mm-hmm.
Probably just the traditional Christmases with, my grandmother, going to her house. And
so you went to your grandma's house on Christmas?
Usually, yes.
So you didn't spend it in your own house?
It depends, You spend, of course, some of the day in your house because that's where you wake up. Okay. But when you go out for dinner and stuff like that, you're going to relatives' houses.
And what did you do when you went to your grandma's house?
A lot of eating and more opening of presents because all of my mother's siblings and all the cousins would come over, and usually there were more presents to open from, aunts and uncles. And so it was a bountiful time.
Was that your favorite holiday when you were younger because you got to see all your family?
It was my second favorite, and it was not because I got to see family. It was because I got presents.
Okay. Okay.
Very Cartman-like. Presents.
Okay. What do you remember about your grandparents?
Not a lot. My father's father was deceased before I was born. I think his mother was as well. I don't know. But in any event, I have no memory of either of them.
What about your mother's parents?
My mother's mother I knew until my teenage years. That's when she passed away. And when I was maybe 4 or 5, my grandfather passed away.
Okay.
So I don't have much memories of anyone other than my mother's mother.
Okay. Well, do you know what your grandparents did for work or anything like that?
I'm told my father's father was I don't want to say lawyer, but he facilitated the Italian American community in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Italians who had just come over on the boat and going through Ellis Island and settling in the Scranton area. He helped get them papers and work and whatever else he could do.
Do you know anything like about that job? Like, was that like would that be like a good paying job or something?
Apparently they did all right because he sent his children to college if they wanted to go. I know 2 of his daughters definitely went. They went on to become teachers. Those are the ones who did not marry, and they stayed in his house for the rest of their lives.
Okay. Do you know what your father's mother did?
I believe she was just a housewife, but just a housewife.
Okay.
That's probably the hardest job there is, but.
Okay. Do you know what your mother's parents did?
My mother's father, I'm not sure what he did. I have cousins who probably know what he did, but I don't know what he did. And my grandmother, maternal grandmother, she was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay. Considering that some of your grandparents passed before you were born, how close were you to the ones who were alive?
The only one I was ever close to was my maternal grandmother.
Were you close to her?
Oh yeah, because we grew up for a time when I was very young. I would say until I was about 7 or 8 years old. We lived on the same block, so we.
Oh really?
Yeah, we could just walk up the block and be at Grandma's house.
Would you go to her house every day?
I don't know about every day, but very often, yes.
Okay.
Particularly after school or something like that, because my mother was sometimes not home because my father had his own business. My mother would at times go there and do the books, answer phones, stuff like that. She would help him out.
Okay. Did your grandparents or your grandma ever say anything to you, had some special saying that has you remember till today, had some special impact?
No, she was Portuguese, so whatever she was saying was in Portuguese, and I'm sure it wasn't good.
Did you ever understand what she said?
No. Never. Bafanaba. I have no idea.
Did she speak English?
Oh yeah, but when you asked for something special.
Oh yeah.
The special stuff always came in Portuguese, and it was always after I had done something not so good.
Oh, so she never had any saying or anything?
Not that I am able to recall in this situation. So.
Okay.
All this pressure.
Where did you grow up?
Jersey City and Bayonne.
Okay. Have you always lived there when you were younger?
I lived in Jersey City until I was in the 4th grade, and then I lived in Bayonne until after I graduated college.
What school did you attend?
You want them all?
I mean, I guess.
I went to PS6 for kindergarten. Then I went to St. Paul's in Jersey City through, I want to say 3rd grade. And then in 4th grade, I went to Horace Mann in Bayonne. Then I went to Marist High School, and then I went to Seton Hall University. And I went to Seton Hall Business School, and I went to Chubb Institute of Technology.
You went to all those schools?
Yes.
You went to a business school and...
Yeah, I was not in the business school for long. Just a semester and a half, I think.
And you went to you said a tech school?
Yes, that's...
and that's
my
where
parents got tired of paying for my education, and I wasn't working. So they wanted me to get a job.
So that's where you learned to do...
Computers,
yes. Which you did for most of your life?
For my professional career, yes.
Yeah. Okay. How has you were just in Bayonne the other day, right?
Yes, for a funeral.
Yes. So how did the area change from when you grew up?
It's somewhat the same, but there's a lot going on there now because it's part of the quote-unquote Gold Coast.
What's that?
It is the area around Manhattan on the New Jersey side. So you've got Hoboken, Jersey City, and Bayonne. Mm-hmm. They're all building up. They're because the rents in Manhattan are so high, people move across the river and commute in to their jobs if they work in Manhattan.
Okay, so it's changed.
Yeah, but it's always been ethnically diverse, and it has continued that. I mean, it's different ethnicities now, but it is still ethnically diverse.
Well, when you were younger, what was the ethnic group that was?
There was a lot of Irish and a lot of Polish and a lot of yes.
Oh. What is it
Italians.
now? Do you know?
I think there's a lot of Middle Eastern and Arabic.
Oh wow, okay. How did you get to school?
Walked.
How long did that take you? Was it a far walk every day?
And for grammar school, it was maybe if it took 10 minutes, I walked slow.
Okay.
When I went to high school, it took about 20 minutes to a half an hour.
So even if it rained and snowed, you'd still walk to school every day?
More than likely. On very few occasions, I took a bus. And not a school bus, a city bus.
So you had to take a city bus? Were there no school buses or something?
There might have been. I don't recall them.
So, but did people in your school take school buses to school?
I don't recall seeing, when I take you to school or I pick you up from school, there's a million buses. Mm-hmm. I don't recall seeing those in my high school. It was a private high school, so I don't think...
Well, did people have, what was it, a more rich school? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it was a private high school, so you had to pay to go there.
Okay.
It wasn't a public school, so there was, no public transportation. They weren't required to have buses.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that was a thing.
You had to get there yourself.
Okay. What was lunchtime like at school?
Which one? In grammar school.
Grammar and high school.
Grammar school was.
So, we were talking about lunchtime.
Yes,
grammar school.
Lunchtime in grammar school. There was a schoolyard. We would go out in the schoolyard and we would play. After going home for lunch, went home.
You went home for lunch?
Went home for lunch.
So you would walk to school when it was lunch. You would walk back.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you have for lunch?
I don't recall. It seems I want to say an hour.
You have an hour?
That's what I want to say. I was a kid, and I don't remember. I didn't pay attention.
Everybody got to go home to go eat lunch?
No, I mean you didn't have to. But it was easy. I'm telling you that it was a city, so
okay.
It was a block and a half away.
Lucky.
And in high school, there was a cafeteria. We ate in the cafeteria, and then we would go outside.
Did you ever leave school?
Leave school grounds in high school? No.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't do that.
Did you have a lot of friends to eat with?
Sure. It was an all-male high school, though, so.
Okay. In grammar in high school or college, were there any classes or teachers that stood out to you?
In 6th grade, Miss McHugh, she stood out because she really enjoyed the way I read. You know, when you do reading aloud, I would read with emphasis, and she liked that. And she recognized it, and I liked that she recognized it.
Okay, but were there any like teachers that like you learned something? Well, obviously, but like that like taught you something that like you stuck with, like some like life lesson or whatever.
Was I inspired by any
Yes.
of them? Is that what you're trying
Yes.
to say? Not so much.
Really?
No, but
What about any?
that's my own fault. I mean, you know,
What about
I was
any,
introverted.
Any classes? Like
No,
any classes
I
that stood out to
floated
you?
through. I was never looking for, you know, what do you want to do? What I wanted to do was nothing. I never wanted to do anything.
Okay. Did you have to wear school uniforms or anything?
In high school, you had to wear a tie.
Okay.
But they never said you had to wear a tie properly. So there were all kinds of contests, but not specific contests, but just to see who could tie, you know, a regular tie as short as possible.
Ew.
Yeah, these big fat knots. They weren't appreciative, but you know.
What was it like going to Catholic school?
It was probably like going to any other school, except they, you know, tried to inject a little of the nonsense into it.
Daddy,
What?
this is a school interview.
It's still nonsense.
Okay. So, do you think, well, since you are an atheist, do you think Catholic school had any reasoning to do with you not believing in God anymore?
Probably. I mean, come on. You know, come on. It doesn't take a lot, you know, if you let me put it this way, if you heard these stories today, if somebody came to you today, right? If you came home to me and said, hey, I'm pregnant, but it was an angel of the Lord that did it, come on, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Okay. What did you and your friends do after school?
All kinds of nefarious things, but, you know, we learned, we grew. But
Okay, well, like, was there like a certain like spot that you all would hang out at?
no. There was later on, right? In high school, later junior year, senior, we would go to my house, my basement.
And is that where you practiced all your music and stuff?
Yeah. Well, and when there wasn't band, there were two different groups of friends, right? The normal friends who weren't in the band and didn't care about the band. We would hang out in the basement and play video games and stuff. What was that?
I had a,
Anyway, and other times when I had band practice, then we couldn't do that. We'd have band practice.
okay. When did you first get interested in music?
In sophomore year of high school.
So was it like your dad or your mom? Or
No.
anybody?
It was Dave Maluski. He was. I was in the same homeroom as him.
Okay.
He was in a band with his cousin, and they needed a bass player. And he asking kids in class, "Hey, do you play bass? Do you play bass?" Nobody said yes because nobody played bass. And they just said, "Hey, do you want to learn how to play bass?" Okay.
So that's when you learned how to play bass?
And that's what.
Did your parents ever play any instruments? Or
My
listen?
father played the piano, but he did it by ear. He never had lessons. My mother was not all that musical herself, but she did listen to music. Elvis Presley was one of her favorites.
Didn't she have like a bunch of Presley stuff?
Not that I recall. She had a lot of his records.
What was your earliest memory of music? Like the bass?
The bass? No, that came in high school. Earliest memory of music is Elvis Presley, because my mother would play those records, and it was specifically Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah.
And would she play that a
The
lot?
Beatles craze was big too. I mean, I remember that because that was stuff I liked.
Was that like weird seeing all like the fangirls of the Beatles? Because that's like never happened before a band like that, right?
Right, but I mean,
as big as the Beatles.
Right, but you didn't see it all that much. You heard about it. There wasn't. I mean, it's not like you look at a phone today and you get all the news of the world. It didn't happen like that. You would have to watch shows like Ed Sullivan or something, or the news, and I didn't watch the news. I was a kid. If it wasn't cartoons, I wasn't watching.
Okay. So who were your favorite musicians at the time?
At which time?
I guess, well, when you were in grammar school and high school.
In grammar school, it was probably a lot of pop music, whatever, was on the radio. What, that was. But when I got into high school and I started getting my own taste of music, Frank Zappa was certainly one of my favorites.
Still is?
Still is.
Mm-hmm.
My first cassette tape I ever got was Black Sabbath. The second one was Jethro Tull. Yeah.
And when you were listening to these bands, did your dad ever be like, "Oh, this is good"? Did he like it too?
No, he quite the opposite. Turn it down.
Like
turn it down. Music? No. I like some of your music. What I object to that you listen to is the things you should be offended by. The way they talk about women. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Weak songwriting, Petey. It's weak. When if you can't get the meter right and you just stick in words that are offensive just to be offensive, you're a clown.
So your dad never had a problem with like that, like the offensiveness. It was the actual like the music itself.
Oh, I played it very loud. It was. I had some high-end equipment to crank it, and he was within his rights because I was in the basement and it traveled up.
What about your mom? Did she care?
Not so much, but
And
she would also, hey, turn it down, or stamp on the floor, which was my ceiling. So yeah, I knew it was too loud.
Did your sisters care about the?
No, they were. It was there was the basement and then 3 floors up. When I was occupying the basement, they were on the 3rd floor, so they didn't even hear it probably.
Okay.
And if they did, they were too lazy to come down to tell me.
What was it like playing in a rock band?
It was fun. It's fun.
Well,
it was not. I mean, it's not like we toured the world or anything.
But you said you played at CBGB's.
Yeah,
right?
we played CBGB's a couple of times. That was my claim to fame, and it was on a Tuesday night or something. It wasn't. Never had a record deal. Never had groupies. Nothing like that.
How many bands?
But it was still fun. I don't know. I couldn't. People came and went. Names changed.
Okay. Well, how did your parents feel about the band? Did they like it?
Yeah, they were supportive in that, but because they knew, it was not anything that was going to go anywhere. You know, they knew music. They could hear. You know, most of the bands I was in were cover bands. So you're not doing anything original. You can't possibly go anywhere. The band that did play at CBGB's did do originals, but they were derivatives, though. It actually sounded like other stuff. So there was no groundbreaking, nothing to make somebody say, hey, that's different, make a record, you know, nothing like that.
Okay. If you could compare your parents to figures in pop culture, who would they be most like?
I got nothing for that. I mean, very. I don't know. I got nothing.
So you don't know, you couldn't compare.
I mean, pop culture when? Whenever? At any time? Let's see. Nah, I still got nothing.
No.
I mean, because it's an amalgam, you know? At times my father was like, you know, Archie Bunker, but, you know, but only a very narrow part. To say he was like that would paint him unfairly. So, I mean, I got nothing.
Okay. What did I think you said this, what did your parents do for a living?
I said that.
So your dad owned a business and your mom was a
He had
housewife?
his own trucking company that specialized in the bulk transportation of edible oils and wax.
What is that? Edible oils?
Yeah, oils you can eat.
Like olive oil?
That wasn't the one he did. He did mostly corn oil.
Corn oil.
Corn oil. And
How
wax
how
too.
did he come up with a
like
business
American
like that?
I don't know how he came up with it.
I mean, that's just a very
You see a
specific
need
business.
and you fill it. Well, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. For a long time, he delivered a lot to Hershey's, and he would bring home 5
really?
pound bar chocolate. Yeah. And
So-
he delivered to American Candle, and he would bring home candles on occasion.
So did he like come up with this job? Do you know if he came up with this job like at a time where like this was like in need or something? Or
It must have been. I wasn't born yet when he started this. So.
okay. What were your parents' views on politics?
My father was he was one of the, if not the original Tea Party guy.
Can you explain more on that?
Sure. He hated taxes. He never wanted to pay any taxes. And he at one time in his career, he ran for office often, but
Office and like what, mayor?
councilman. He never ran for mayor. He wanted to start with councilman because, you know, then you work your way up to mayor. But he never got. He ran as an independent. Bayonne was, you know, in Hudson County. Hudson County is Democrat, was Democrat, probably will always be Democrat, and he had no chance. But he kept plugging away, and he would go to the council meetings. And one year he started going, and he would wear a tri-corner hat.
And that was in the newspaper, right? I think I played that in my
Yes, that was in the newspaper. And he would not take the hat off, even though he was asked more than once, please remove the hat. No, this is
My right?
This is my right, as it's my symbol of, you know, anti-taxation, and I'm not taking it off. And they took him to court, and he won.
Well, when he would wear the tri-fold hat, would he get
Tri-corner.
tri-cornered hat? Would he get followers? Like not like a cult, but like Like,
There was
but
no
people-
Twitter, there was no Instagram.
No, but people like show up at the meetings after and wearing
They
them
had
too.
they had their own little taxpayers association.
Did he start that?
He did. Him and his buddy Andrew Zakutansky and Dick Bazone. But yeah, they had some little influence, but not nearly enough to change policy.
And what was your mother's views on politics?
Whatever my father's were.
So she just went along with it?
Mm.
Did she feel strongly about politics though?
Yeah, even after he passed away, she stayed with the Republican Club, and they were never happier as when Ronald Reagan won the election.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because your parents clearly were very strong Republicans and you're not.
No,
think-
I was.
Oh, you were?
At times. Look, I'm an independent thinker, right?
Mhm.
So there are some things that I think the Republicans, what used to be the Republicans, had good ideas about, and in culture and socially, the Democrats have good ideas, but this stain in the White House now is just. He's not a Republican. He's not a conservative. He is a thief, a criminal, and a moron. It will be proven.
Okay, I agree. What was, when you were younger, what was the current political climate of the world? Like, when you were in high school?
Well, before that, let's see, I graduated high school in '77. So, late in grammar school, and the Vietnam War was big, Jimmy Carter being a weakling was big. Yeah.
Did you think he was
The
a weakling?
hostages in Iran.
Yeah, we just learned about that. We learned all about Jimmy Carter.
Did you learn that the day that Ronald Reagan got sworn in, they let the hostages go?
Yeah, and then he got all the credit for it.
Well, who got all the credit for it?
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And so you're one of those people who think that Jimmy Carter did all the work.
Oh, no. I don't think. I think all the while that I think Carter tried, right?
Yeah.
He tried and tried, but he went. But all the time that Reagan was running, he was making some threats that you figured he was gonna follow through on.
Like what?
Like, if they don't turn over the hostages, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kill every last one of them. Not in those exact words,
Okay.
but these were the things he was hinting at. We will use all of our military might to get the hostages released. We're done. We're not going to negotiate with these guys. We're just going to, that kind of thing. So. Once he won the election, and okay, you can go. Please.
And so, didn't Ronald Reagan say that when he is president, he's not gonna negotiate with terrorists anymore, or is that?
Yeah, I think that might have been him, but that was a very popular thing. No, we don't negotiate with terrorists. You see that in the movies all the time. I don't recall exactly who said it first or anything like that, but.
So, moving away from politics, how was your college experience?
I commuted to college. I went to Seton Hall, so I didn't stay on campus. I go to my classes, and I go home. So my college experience was probably a lot different than most people's college experience. And in that, I just wanted to get it over with. So,
well, did you like go out to parties or anything?
No, I came home to party.
Okay. Oh my God. Did you hear my sneeze?
Yes.
Oh, here's another political question. Actually, it's political and with college. Do you think the political climate of the times had any influence of you picking your major?
Well, my major was political science. No, it had nothing to do with it. I was told that if you want to go to law school, you have a major of political science or journalism. So I went with political science, and then had no interest in pursuing a law career.
So why did you choose law school?
After you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
After I was not accepted to Seton Hall Law School, I only applied to one.
Why? If you wanted to, did you want to be a lawyer or
Look,
something?
I was young. I was stupid. Did I want to be a lawyer? No, but I didn't want to go to work, so I wanted to continue going to school.
Oh.
Right.
What you advised me on doing? No, I'd rather get money.
Okay then.
How expensive was college?
I don't know.
Did it have any kind of impact?
Not on me. Might
on
have.
your family?
They never said it did, and they never said don't go to Seton Hall. So.
Okay. Who paid for your college?
My parents.
Did they? I'm assuming they saved up money while you were younger.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay. Did your siblings go to college?
Benvinda did, yes. She
Where did
went
she
to
go?
Marywood, that is in Scranton.
Oh, and she lives in Scranton now.
That's where she met her husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Did your parents go to college?
My mother did not. My father went to, I think it was called St. Thomas, but he did not graduate. He only went for a semester or two.
Okay.
And then he went out to see the world and earn his way.
Do you know if there's any reason why your mom didn't go to college?
I don't know. Other than, maybe it wasn't. She was the daughter of Portuguese immigrants, so it probably wasn't in their DNA, so to speak, to have their children go to college. Certainly get an education, but, high school is enough, then,
So college education was the
go
most
to work
important
or get a husband, that kind of thing.
thing? Okay. Did your grandparents go to college? Do you know?
No idea.
Okay. At the time, how many of your friends went to college? Was it
Oh,
a popular thing?
yeah, almost all of them, if not all of them, all of my friends.
Okay.
There were probably a couple who didn't.
Did your family value a higher education?
Yes.
So was education the most important thing? Because
Well,
I know in our family it is.
Yeah, I don't know about the most important, but it certainly was important, yes.
So.
And they were disappointed that, my other two sisters did not.
Do you know why they didn't attend college?
Because they hated high school.
Was that Florence and Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. What was technology like when you first entered your IT school?
The only computers were mainframe computers, and the way you interacted with it, how you have a keyboard now or some other device to talk to your computer, was punch cards.
What's that?
Yeah, it was a card with 132 characters, 80 columns, I think. I forget. But anyway, you would get on a typewriter and you type these commands in, and it would punch holes in the card that the computer would understand. And if you had one character out of place, or one card in the deck out of place, nothing would work. It was very difficult.
Wow, so you can see that technology has changed a lot. Is it
Yes, I
is it
can.
crazy to see that? from when you first entered
It
tech
was-
school to now?
It was wild to see it as it was happening.
Okay. Was there anything that
When I was working, and the internet first became a thing, Amazon, all they did was sell books, and it was just page after page of listings of books, and you click next to the book, this is the one I want. For a long time there was no web, it was just graphics. It was, if I had invested in these things that I saw, we'd be gazillionaires. But I didn't know.
Is that a regret of yours not
Yeah, well, not knowing I should invest. It was just, what could this possibly be? Gee, instead of going to Barnes and Nobles, I can get a book here, and in a week they'll deliver it to me. What's the big deal? Well, it became a big deal.
Clearly.
Yeah, Google wasn't Google. The first search engine I used was called Dogpile, because it would search all of the other search engines. There were dozens of search engines at the time because there was a lot of crap out there. Now there's infinitely more crap. Crap.
What was your first job?
My very first job was stock boy at Pants Place Plus in Jersey City, and the only reason I got that job was my sister was working there as an assistant manager, Florence. Oh, that was my first real job. I was on my father's books for a long time.
You did the accounting?
No.
Oh.
I was on the books as an employee over the summer, but I would go there maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and he would send me over to get him coffee or make me go out and pull weeds or some other,
But you got paid?
Yeah, but I got paid.
So what was the stock market job? The stock boy job like?
Well, when they would deliver a load of inventory, I would have to take it in, make sure that what was on the paper matched what came in off the truck. Then I would have to store it in the back, and then make sure it got from the back to the shelves or the racks. So it was mostly shoes and clothes.
Okay. And you said you worked with your sister there because she was an assistant manager?
Yep.
What was it like working with your sister?
That was fun, She didn't bother me. I didn't bother her. I was, 16 or 17, and they were mostly girls and women working there, and it was a woman's clothing store, so for me it was good.
What was your first job out of college?
First job out of college was, was I delivering then? Might have been McHugh's liquor store, but it was, it was just a delivery, just doing deliveries, and some minor stuff around the store. I didn't get a job out of college. With a political science degree, you don't really get all that much. That's why
Really?
I went to business school, because I thought I'd get an MBA.
It's an MBA.
It's a master's in business.
When out of all those little jobs that you worked, what was the craziest thing that ever happened? Do you remember, or a rememberable?
Well,
story?
I one time the wax in one of the railroad cars that had the wax. My father would they would pump the wax out of the railroad cars. He would have to take the tanker truck to the railroad car, pump it into the tanker truck, and then the tanker truck would deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
One time he had not set the steam correctly, and all the wax bubbled up out of the car. So we had to try and clean that up as best we could. That was wild.
What job did you always want when you were younger?
No, I didn't want to work. I
when
wanted to
you
be
were
idle
younger-
rich. That's what I wanted. I never got that.
So, like, when you were younger, you weren't ever like, oh, I want to be this when I grow up?
Nah,
Really?
really.
You never wanted to work?
If I had those kinds of aspirations, I might have tried harder going through school. I might have seen a path to something I wanted to do. But I just kind of fell ass backwards into what I did.
Do you have any interesting stories from the early days of the internet?
I gave you one already.
Do you have any more?
No. No.
Were there any people in your life that you knew to be, wow, can I speak English? Were there any
Not
people
well.
that you knew in your life that grew to be very successful? Like grew to be kind of like either like really rich or famous?
No.
Any of your bandmates?
No. No.
Nobody?
No.
Okay. What changes have you seen in society from when you were younger to now?
Look, all I can tell you is things are much worse now than they were then because of disinformation and antisocial media.
Do you think like politics today has any impact on society?
I think antisocial media has an impact on politics.
How so?
The incredible nonsense, the non-facts.
The fake news.
Yeah, but you see, when you say fake news, because of the way the president uses it, he tries to characterize fact-based reporting as fake news. Whereas what he believes and what he tells you, that's correct. And that's not factual.
How do you think your father would view Trump?
He probably would have liked Trump.
Why? Just
For the same reason all these other people that like Trump say they like Trump. Oh, he speaks his mind. Oh, he's not a politician. Oh, he's this, oh, he's that. What he is, first and foremost, is a con man. First and foremost. Always was, always will be.
would your mom have viewed Trump the same way as your father?
Probably.
Do you think your sisters would have too?
No.
Were your sisters into politics?
No, they were not.
What did your sisters like to do though? It's like they weren't into politics. What were they into?
Having fun.
So they didn't really care about politics
No,
or anything?
no.
What about school? Did they care about school?
Two of them did not.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to say?
I hope things get better. If you have a Facebook account, delete it. I know you don't know who Roger Stone is, do you?
Who is that?
He's this other idiot that, he's been a Republican jerk for a while. And he also admitted today, this is funny, or it was yesterday, that he lied to InfoWars and the...
Isn't that where Alex Jones works?
Exactly. If you can find something that isn't a lie on InfoWars, then you've got a story. But stuff like that. There's people that believe that. There's people that believe that we never went to the moon. There's people that believe that the Earth is flat, all because of the internet. And while it could have been great, it's just like television. It could have been great, but no, fail, epic fail. Hopefully it gets better.
Okay. I think that's all we need to know. I mean, you don't know a lot about your family history.
Bye, Mr. Carden.
As much as I would like. So I couldn't ask too many questions about that.
Well,
that's why I wanted to interview Aunt Ben, because she knows a lot more. But
well, why didn't you?
I can't interview an aunt.
Oh, well, sorry, Mr. Carden.
Bye.